Cold storage warehouse, Monday. I stepped into the cold storage warehouse. The air conditioning wasn't running, but it was still cold. The temperature hadn't raised much at all. The cold air sunk into my skin. The center of my body was burning hot. Okay. Policeman. Any progress?
I checked this place point by point, but didn't find nothing.
I mean, there's lots of things to find here. Blood here. There's some blood here. There's a bloody ice cutting machine. Those seem like things to find. But, you know, I get it, man. Any clues?
No, nothing so far.
Yeah. Doing his duties as usual. Is this Oda's blood? Iris and Oda's blood. An evidence marker. It's a little marker that's put up to track evidence at the scene.
Right here. Iris and Ota were...
I am sure you are already aware of Ota's time of death.
Yeah, no, that's...
Just before I arrived. About 3:30 in the morning.
I mean, we watched it
And
live.
the cause of death.
Right.
I think it's pretty
about that.
obvious.
Ota had a stab wound from a kitchen knife in his side.
Correct.
What was the exact cause of death? Was it the knife wound or...
I cannot determine that. I can conclude that the knife wound was at least close to being fatal. Even if Ota was still alive on the workbench, he was certainly on the verge of death. If he
Jesus.
weren't already extremely weak, we would expect to see more signs of struggle.
Yeah, no, that checks out. Maybe Yoda was trying to help Iris jumping at the criminal. That led to a scuffle, and Oda ended up with a knife wound in his side. He lost all his power to fight back. He was forcibly put inside the costume, and finally cut open by the ice cutting machine.
But why? Why did the culprit put the costume on Ota?
Unknown.
I mean, if I had to wager, I guess it would be to try and frame it on him. Like the murder-suicide angle that HQ was going for. But I don't know. Iris and Oda's bodies are under autopsy. Their bodies aren't here anymore. Well, clearly. I would hope not. Iris and Oda were sliced in two by this ice cutting machine. Iris and Oda.
Iris's estimated time
Oh, we're
of
just gonna
death
show it again.
and cause of death have been confirmed.
That's nice.
The video was not a recording. It was a live stream, filmed in real time.
Which means Iris's time of death is 3:20 a.m.
Iris also had her left eye removed.
Sure did.
And like Renju and Shoko, Iris's left eyeball has not been recovered.
It's also really weird.
This forklift is old. It does not appear to be functional. It has not been moved in some time.
A forklift. The tire and floor are covered with layers of ice. Or at least a layer of ice. A forklift. I don't see anything special about it. Does anybody have anything? Right here, Arizona, or... I guess the computer. That's probably
A video camera and laptop.
thing to look at.
This is what the criminal used to stream.
Right.
All of these items have been bought from pawn shops and thrift stores. It would be difficult to determine a suspect from them. I have logged into the Wi-Fi in this warehouse. Okiura Fishery Co., Ltd. is listed as the owner. However, I found the password written directly on the router. Anyone who saw it could have used it.
That's helpful.
I have done some research. As the name suggests, the company is owned by the Okiuras, the same Okiuras we know. Renju's father created the company.
Another connection to Renju.
No, actually. Currently, Okiura Fishery has nothing to do with Renju. The company has been managed by office representatives for the past 17 years after Renju's father died. Renju holds no shares and is not involved in the management. In short, Renju did not inherit the company from his father, and it was instead given to other persons.
But
who does own it?
It certainly is suspicious. Date, we should get moving. Officers from the local jurisdiction are checking the warehouse thoroughly. We will not find anything of importance here.
Yeah, you're right.
You can ask CSI to inform you if they find anything.
All right.
Yo, I'm heading out. Let me know if you find anything. I let them know, then left the warehouse. When I left the warehouse, I saw Peter. What is he doing here? Yeah, what is he doing here? He walked up to me while I was trying to work it out.
Date, I have to talk to you about something.
Huh?
About the original Cyclops serial killings.
Why this all of a sudden?
Because I want you to solve this case, Mr. Date. I want you to find who did this and bring them to justice. So, if I can help you, even a little.
Why didn't you say anything at Abyss?
The boss was there. I couldn't speak openly in front of her. So I decided to meet you here.
All right. Let's hear it.
Earlier, I told you that I was completely certain the original Cyclops killer couldn't have committed these crimes.
Right.
I am absolutely certain the original Cyclops killer could not have committed these crimes.
Yes, that is what you just said, Peter.
Let me explain why. I'll start by telling you the identity of the Cyclops killer. Although, it's more accurate to say killers.
More than one?
Killers, you say?
In the first series of killings, the culprit had an accomplice. One of them was born a murderous psychopath. The other is Rohan Kumakura, the previous chairman of the Kumakuras. They each had a role to play. The murderer committed the homicide, and Rohan removed the eyeball.
Kinda weird. Not really weird, in fact. What are you two looking at? Okay. Peter, continue. Tell me more about this. About Rohan. I want to know more about this eye
18 years
thing.
ago, Rohan took a woman's eye. She was already dead. He put his finger into her eye socket and gouged it out. The reason why was simple. He was fascinated by women's eyes. Their beauty stimulated his greed and his desire to possess them. He needed to have them, to make them his own. Driven
Weird
by
flex.
his instinctive impulse, he took the woman's eye. From then on, he acquired a grotesque obsession with the eyes of dead women. He was very
Really weird
particular
flex.
about his need that the eye belonged to a deceased woman. But even being the head of a Yakuza gang, there weren't too many opportunities for him to indulge.
What's he doing with
deepest,
these eyes? Like
darkest
putting them on
desire
a shelf
went
or?
unfulfilled for years.
See, I don't think I want to
However,
know.
He soon met his ideal partner, the aforementioned psychopath. The Cyclops killer would commit the murder, and Rohan would take the eye. Thus, a mutually beneficial relationship was established. This was the origin of the Cyclops serial killings. At about the same time, you were assigned to Abyss.
So who is the murderous psychopath?
He was born with a brain dysfunction. Due to damage
That's
to the
not what I
posterior
asked.
pituitary gland, he was unable to properly secrete oxytocin.
Oxytocin is a peptide hormone linked to feelings of love, affection, and trust. It is colloquially referred to as the love hormone. It causes a tranquilizing effect which improves mood and relieves stress. It is normally secreted when the body makes contact with an object of affection, such as an embrace or caress.
I'm sure you know what this implies, but he was unable to feel love in the way that we do. However, he was able to experience a substitute. His brain was wired in such a way that allowed him to feel satisfaction through other means. Due to the unique idiosyncrasies of his brain, he was able to release large amounts of dopamine and endorphins by performing a certain action.
What was it?
Such as
Murder.
Dopamine is a hormone linked to the reward system of the brain.
That would explain why he was a
Pleasant
murderer.
feeling attained through accomplishment is dopamine. Endorphins are a kind of brain narcotic. They dull pain and create a feeling of happiness.
He got pleasure from killing people?
It's slightly more complicated than that. Killing people was the only way he could get pleasure. He was 12 when he took his first life.
12?
That enlightened him to the pleasure of murder, which he would
That's
do again and
bit
again.
young for murder, but I guess there is no proper age to murder. So why did this case get classified, Peter? Tell me that. Also, you still didn't really answer my question on who the psychopath was, but maybe you're getting to that.
That, I don't know.
The details of the original Cyclops serial killings case have become nebulous over time. Even the official investigation material contains nothing of value. I am unable to draw any conclusions from them.
I see.
You really have no idea?
If I did, I would tell you.
Summarize all that for me then, Peter, since you can't tell me that.
The original Cyclops killer had an accomplice.
There were 2 Cyclops killers.
And one of them was the former chairman of the Kumakuras, Rohan Kumakura.
Sounds like we should
Rohan
pay them a
committed
visit then.
suicide by jumping to his death 1 year ago.
That means... Pewter, tell me this. One of the original killers is dead, I know that. But that means one remains. Who is he?
After his 4th murder, he was arrested by the police. They actually picked him up on other charges. But, in any case, he is currently serving a life sentence in Fuchu prison.
Fuchu prison?
Yes.
What's his name?
In prison, he doesn't have a name. He is simply called Number 89.
Number 89.
I know who killed Shogun Adami.
I see. The mysterious voice from the prison.
So, now you know why I said that. That the original Cyclops killer couldn't have committed these crimes. Because one is dead, and the other is behind bars. Neither of them had the
that
opportunity.
makes sense. Alright, Peter. It's becoming serious. And we're out of here. We're heading to Abyss. I mean, I think we should go investigate the Kamakura office. Find out more about Rohan, but this works too. I returned to boss's office to report. But I didn't see her anywhere.
Where did she go?
Well, she isn't always here, correct?
True.
I sat down in my usual seat and decided to wait for boss.
What are you doing?
I thought it would be easier to talk like this.
What do we have to talk about?
A summary of the investigation, perhaps?
I mean, there's lots of things to talk
What
about, Dante.
summary?
The
We
weather,
don't have
the
anything new.
murders,
That's not
where
true.
boss is.
Huh?
I was curious, so I did some research. About number 89.
Go on. What's 89's real name and who is he? Seems like the same kind of question. Well, go with his real name.
Unknown.
You don't know?
Makes sense.
No such person is listed in the family registry.
Family
It
registry.
is possible he is a foreigner, but his nationality is unknown.
I thought she was talking about like a specific family.
However, I believe it is safe to say that he was born and raised in Japan.
Who is he?
As you know, he is an assassin with multiple confirmed kills. He is currently serving a sentence at Fuchu Prison. He was imprisoned 6 years ago.
That's what Pewter told us.
After his fourth murder, he was arrested by the police.
So what's the relationship between 89 and Shoko?
Unknown. I cannot determine
Helpful.
if they have any connection.
Very helpful.
Approximately 1 month ago, Hitomi Sagan witnessed Shoko in Fuchu Prison's waiting room. I am unable to say for certain that the person she was there to visit was number 89. After all, Fuchu Prison houses 2,000 inmates.
But number 89 knew Shoko's name.
True.
I know who killed Shogunadami.
Also, wouldn't this have been easier if Iba just told
must
me
mean
what
that
she
he knew her
found out
somehow.
instead of me asking questions and her
It
just
is
saying
possible.
unknown? But I mean, hey, you know, what about 89 and the new Cyclops serial killings? What does he know about him? How's he
Peter
connected?
claims that
Tell
there were
me.
2 culprits behind the original serial killings. One was the former chairman of the Kumakuras, Rohan Kumakura.
Why we should go talk to
Rohan
them
committed
instead of sitting
suicide
around here.
last year.
That leaves 1 culprit still alive, number 89.
But number 89 couldn't possibly have committed these crimes. He was in jail when each of the murders occurred.
Correct. However, I do not believe it is accurate to claim that he had nothing to do with the incident.
I know who killed Shogunadami.
If he was telling the truth, his involvement is possible.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's talk to him.
Let's talk to number 89.
I don't know if he's telling the truth or if he's full of it, but he's our last remaining loose end.
Alright. However, we need not go to him. We can bring him to us. If we plan on syncing with him, it would be more efficient.
Can you arrange that?
I can.
Well, that would do it then. After cutting through some red tape, 89 was brought to HQ. Was to be brought to HQ. He took considerable time to arrive, but for some reason, boss never showed up. It's palpable.
Sorry to interrupt your busy day, but I need you to tell me something. I'd appreciate your cooperation.
Dante, I don't think he's going to cooperate. That look on his face and his silence is really telling me he's not going to tell us anything we want to know. I can't look at Peter, so I can't talk to him right now. But, yeah, alright, 89. What's your name?
Number 89.
Your real name.
I don't remember.
Okay. Where are you from?
Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso is a republic in West Africa. Population 17 million.
I don't have time for your jokes.
So, you're the original Cyclops killer, aren't you?
That's right. I was one of the culprits behind the case 6 years ago. One of the 2 Cyclops killers.
So do you know Shoko? You seemed to know her name when we spoke the other day.
Yeah, I guess I do.
About a month ago, Shoko visited Fuchu Prison. Was she there to see you?
That's right.
What did you talk about?
Nothing special.
You're in no position to lie.
I'm not lying. She didn't come to hear me talk.
Then why did she come?
To meet me.
Meet you?
She probably just wanted to see me.
When did you first meet her?
A long time ago. I don't remember exactly when.
What's your relationship to her?
A physical one. I'm kidding. She was just a business partner.
Who killed Shoko Tsunami?
All right, let's get right down to it. 2 days ago, you called Investigation HQ and said, I know who killed Shoko Nadami.
That's right.
Who?
Hey, don't be so hasty. We haven't agreed on a deal. You're gonna let me out of prison, right?
It's done. You've got a deal.
All right. But to explain it properly, I need to tell you a story. It might take some time. Is that all right with you?
I've got nothing but time.
Then let's get started. The story of a lonely assassin.
Boy, story time.
Once upon a time, there was a detective, full of righteous justice. Let's call him F.
That's not
F
an
found the
assassin, that's a
evils of the world
detective.
intolerable. F had no parents, no siblings, and grew up in an orphanage since he was born. He suffered every kind of abuse imaginable there. It led him to despise all the evils of the world. One day, F was chasing a thug down at the harbor. Someone wanted for the assault and murder of women.
Music from the title screen.
Get it. I'll just throw down my knife.
This is really important.
And you lower your gun. It's fine. I got nothing else on me. I'll go quietly. You know, I have a history with hospitals. I've been going to a special hospital for a while. Even if I get caught, it's all good. I'll come right back out again. What should I do next time? Just thinking about it gets me excited.
Oh, Jesus. Quite a few shots there.
The culprit was unarmed, but F never served a day in prison. The case went to trial for some time, but it was determined to be self-defense, and he was declared innocent. If the truth got out, it would be a huge scandal for the police. People at the upper level were terrified of what might happen, so they had evidence fabricated. F wasn't suspended or disciplined at all. After a while, he returned to his job like nothing happened. That was a turning point for him. He was ready to shed the morality that was weighing him down, holding him back. F still wanted justice, and he was willing to dispense it to the immoral one by one. He became an assassin, a lone gunman, no agent, no employer.
Except for the police who he worked for.
F believed that he was judge, jury, and executioner. But it didn't last long. One day, F got rid of a criminal we'll call X. X was responsible for defrauding and killing an innocent old man for his life insurance policy. Turns out, X had connections. Someone wasn't happy that he died. Rohan Kumakura, chairman of the Kumakuras. X was a top executive of the Kumakuras at the time. Rohan ordered his men to find and kidnap F.
I've done some research.
Hey, it's those two.
I know you've cleaned up at least 18 pieces of scum from this earth. but somehow there hasn't been a single criminal investigation. They're all treated as suicides, accidents, or natural causes. Amazing work. I'm impressed. How about you work for us? Of course, you have the right to say no, but it'll be the last word out of your mouth.
Oh, they're not even gonna let him say, like, no
was
thank you?
trapped.
Just no,
Even
and
if
then
he
he's
somehow
dead?
survived, he would be looking over his shoulder for the rest of his life. He had no choice but to take Rohan's offer.
I mean, if he killed
Thus,
Rohan too, then
F's
he really
self-employment
would
came
not
to
have
an
anything
end.
to look out for.
He became a hired gun of the Kumakaras. Rohan even gave him a code name, Falco, named for the falcon, a bird of prey.
And also the Star Fox character.
Falco didn't quit his job as a police officer, though. He worked as a detective by day, assassin by night, at the will of the organization. An ordinary killer would need motive to take a life, but not Falco. He did as he was told, one target after another. It didn't take long to destroy his heart completely. Time passed, and a few years back, Falco, who by this time was exhausted in body and spirit, made a fatal mistake. He missed his mark and ended up taking a bullet to the stomach. Somehow he managed to escape. After reaching a nearby shrine, his legs finally gave out under him. He had no strength left. He put his back up against the shrine and let out a moaning breath that he thought might be his last. But at that moment, in his darkening vision, he saw a woman approach him. He watched her take out her phone and dial for help. At the same time, he heard footsteps. Footsteps of at
It's
least
only?
two people closing in.
Looks
He
like
knew
her sweater.
immediately that they were after him. He sprung into action, grabbing the woman and pulling her close, kissing her to keep her from talking.
You can't just do that, my guy.
That was the first encounter between Falco and the woman.
You can't just kiss
She was
some
a
random
teacher
woman
at some school.
you've never
It was like
met
she was from a
before.
totally
It
different
does not
world
work
to him.
that way, Falco.
Listening to her talk, he would forget everything about his line of work. She was his only contact with the ordinary, mundane world. They met in secret a few more times, and Falco felt his heart grow warmer. Her smile and kindness were like a cold glass of water for Falco's parched heart. Falco started to become himself again, his former self. He swore on his life that from then on, he would live for her.
And then she died, so he stopped living.
So, you want to go clean? Fine. Do as you please. You've done a lot for us. But there is one last thing. One final job I want you to do for me. It's nothing major. This woman and her daughter. I need you to dispose of them. Should be simple, no?
Rohan handed Falco a picture of a woman and a girl. It was the teacher Falco met at the shrine. And her daughter. She had just turned 12. Why the two of them? Rohan, as usual, never gave a reason. And
I mean, I think the
Falco
reason's
had no
probably pretty
intention of
clear
carrying
there.
out the
He's just
kill.
like, oh, you want to
But if
leave
he
for this
did,
woman?
he needed
Alright, but you
someone
gotta
else
kill her
would.
first.
He thought long and hard. How was he going to keep them safe and get out of the life of crime? He couldn't find an answer, no matter how hard he thought. He was backed into a corner. So, he decided to call on an old friend for help. And then,
some reason, he wouldn't open his mouth again. Why did you stop?
Why did you stop?
Was that the whole story?
Was that the whole story?
Okay, you're gonna do this now, huh? So you mentioned a detective.
You mentioned a detective.
What's the connection between that and Shoko?
What's the connection between that and Shoko?
What he said. Answer me.
Hey, answer me.
This is a transaction, remember? Until I get a guarantee that you'll uphold your end of the bargain, I'm not telling you anything else. I'll give you half up front, half later. If you want to hear the rest of my story, you better start the release procedures. Once they've cleared, I'll tell you everything.
Date, it is unlikely that number 89 will uphold his promise, even upon release.
You know, probably won't.
Computer,
Yes?
start the preparations.
For what?
What do you think? The sink.
We're gonna throw him in the sink.